Hi there. Back in the early 1990s, I was the doorman at the Harvard Square Movie Theater in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and two of the regular visitors to our theater were none other than Julia Child and her husband. They came regularly to see all of Woody Allen's movies, and I only had the chance to say hi to them as they entered and left the theater. I'm afraid we didn't have any chance to talk about cooking, but I still remember them as being very friendly and polite folks. They were also very big people. I don't mean fat, I mean big. Both of them were over 6 feet tall and very broad shouldered, and they stood out easily in a crowd. Now, years later, I finally learned how to cook, and I still remember them well. So when I decided to take a shot at making coq au vin, the famous French dish of chicken stewed in wine, I knew I had to do it her way. So this is my tribute to Julia Child, and I hope you like it.
When I looked up the history of coq au vin, I could see that Julia really did her homework when she put together this recipe. I'm convinced this dish was originally invented by lower-class cooks in the Middle Ages because when you look at coq au vin, it really doesn't look very appetizing, and it certainly would not have been prepared for the medieval aristocracy because of this. Also, the original coq au vin was meant to be prepared with rooster rather than hen. And this was a clue that it came from the peasantry, as they would use the old rooster in this dish when it became too old to crow and produce eggs. This is why the recipe calls especially for dark meat, which is why I like it so much. But this is also why Julia's technique calls for flambeing the chicken. It's not just for effect, though that does look great. It also helps to toughen the meat, and it gives it more of the consistency of the rooster rather than the hen. This all helps to make this such a wonderful dish. The chicken is thoroughly cooked and flavorful, and it's still firm enough to pick up and eat without falling off the bone. Two ingredients in Julia's recipe call for some extra work in preparation, but you can make some simple substitutions if you don't want to go through all of this effort. First, we have mushrooms sautéed in butter, but you can add uncooked sliced or quartered mushrooms if you prefer. The dish also calls for about 2 dozen pearl onions, also sautéed and braised in white wine for about 15 minutes. This adds a touch of extra flavor to the dish, but again, it's not absolutely necessary. You can simplify this by using a large white onion chopped into large pieces.
And of course, the wine. For this dish, we'll be using a Côtes du Rhône, though most folks like a simple Pinot Noir in it. The recipe recommends using cognac to flame the chicken, though brandy works just as well for flambé. And while we don't have to use an overly expensive wine, Julia also suggests we always cook with a wine that we'd want to drink. So be sure to stay away from those so-called cooking wines and get something you'd want to sip while cooking.
We begin our coq au vin by preparing bacon in the cooking pot. Julia recommends slab bacon cut into lardons, though everyday bacon or salt pork will work fine. Sauté the pork on medium heat until the fat is rendered and the pork is cooked, but not crisp. Remove the pork to a side dish and leave the fat in the pan. Turn the heat up to medium-high and add your chicken. Cook it in the bacon grease, turning it over so that all sides of the chicken are brown. Now it's time to flambe the chicken. Be sure to use an alcohol that's at least 80 proof, and this is why brandy or cognac are usually used for flaming. Pour the alcohol into the hot pan, get ready, and light it. Now we let the flame burn off. This will only take about a minute. Season the chicken with kosher salt and pepper, plus bay leaves and thyme. Place the onions around the chicken. Cover the pan and let it cook for 5 minutes. Then, we turn over the chicken and cook for another 5 minutes. Uncover the pan and sprinkle on flour. Add butter and turn the chicken and onions so that the flour is absorbed. Cover the pot once again and cook for another 4 minutes. It's time to add the wine. Add enough wine so that the chicken is nearly covered. Turn the heat down to medium-low to let it simmer. Add in the cooked pork, some minced garlic, and tomato paste. Now cover the pan and let it simmer slowly for 30 minutes. Uncover the pan for the last time and let it simmer for another 15 minutes. This will reduce the cooking liquid to a thicker sauce. You'll be surprised how fast the sauce thickens since the liquid is all wine and chicken fat and very little water. At this point, while the sauce is simmering, prepare your garnishes. We're using egg noodles here, so we boil them up to use as a base for serving the chicken. Finally, add mushrooms to the chicken and sauce, and simmer for another 3 or 4 minutes to cook the mushrooms. There are a number of ways to serve coq au vin, but today we're serving it over egg noodles, in a manner similar to beef bourguignon. And, to accompany the chicken, we're having chilled Cabernet Sauvignon.
I've only been cooking for a little less than 3 years, but I've tried many new things in this short time, and so far, 2 dishes that have truly won me over the first time I've tried them have been Vietnamese pho and coq au vin. And so, I'm proud to be one of the many, many fine cooks worldwide who found influence and muse in Julia Child, and who I had the pleasure of being acquainted with in person. However brief, it was certainly memorable. That's why there's little more I could say here. Besides, bon appetit. Thank you for watching.